Well, Don Williams, Mayor of Lincoln City, we want to welcome you to our editorial meeting. And with us is Paul Christensen, reporter with the News Guard, and of course the publisher, Frank Piero. And Paul, why don't you go ahead and start with your questions?
Yeah, Mr. Williams. So the City Council, after alleging a potential ethical concern regarding some degree of your conduct, it's not widely known, they've recently forwarded a complaint to a third-party reviewer. Pending that individual's findings, the council had planned to likely forward it on to the Oregon Ethics Commission, the Oregon Government Ethics Commission, for further review and possible investigation into the matter. So we want to ask you a few questions about that today.
Okay.
First one I want to ask you, when the council authorized Lincoln City Attorney Richard Appicello to file this initial complaint on August 10th for review and possible investigation, did this take you off guard? Were you very surprised by this?
I was. I would be dishonest if I didn't say that. I was dumbstruck. I just remember it was a feeling of, I guess, almost shock. I would medically say shock. It was just, I was swimming in my head like, what in the world where did this come from? What happened? And so, yeah, it caught me off guard.
Regarding the content of the complaint and the reasoning behind it, that hasn't been made publicly known. What have you been made privy to?
I have just seen it for the first time. It was submitted to our insurance company, and I was given the okay by the OGEC, Oregon Government Ethics Committee or Commission, to talk about it with certain people. They will not disclose it. It'll be up to me, and I'm not going to disclose anything right now. I've talked to CIS, which is I'm sorry, I don't remember the acronym, but it's our insurance company for the city workers, for city employees. Spoken to an attorney briefly. I'm going to be filing a response with one of their attorneys, and that's where we're at with that.
Okay, so it has been forwarded then to that.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
That was my next question. So you received some paperwork from the OGEC, but you don't want to share that at the time?
Not right now. I don't think it'd be to anyone's benefit. When it comes out, everyone will go, well, what was this about? But right now, I don't want to ruffle any more feathers right now. I just want this to go its course, and I'm confident it'll be fine.
Good. Okay.
Right.
You'd expressed some frustration over that in the past to me and to other media. Would you like to go on the record now and deliver your thoughts on accessory use and the ordinances that relate to those?
Sure. I'm going to jump back though to your first question, your first statement that it's been a subject of wide debate and or a lot of people talking about it. I will tell you that during the election, when I was talking to dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people in a day, and not only just out in the city but in my restaurant at the same time, is the only time it came up was, what are they doing? I thought this was done. And there wasn't a lot of people come up going, hey Don, we need to change these things, we need to do this, it was just, why are they even doing this? And so by they, I'm just going to say they as this general collective that people refer to. So I don't think there was this giant groundswell of, hey, let's keep talking about this ad nauseum. And so I'll leave that at that. Back to the question was, how do I feel about accessory use? I will, let's see, I want to say this correctly. Just so everyone knows where I'm at. We recently petitioned to have our house that was a vacation rental included in a VR zone, along with some properties in Olivia Beach. And so we were approved by City Council for that. It has not technically taken effect. It's 30 days after the second vote, which was Monday. I did talk to the Oregon Government Ethics Commission about my involvement from this point forward about any VRD issues and accessory use discussions. And they said, all I would really have to do is just say, I have a potential conflict of interest from this point forward. I no longer have an actual because my home is no longer considered part of that classification. My frustration has been I just like things out in the open. I'm not smart enough to make stuff up. Let's just talk about it. And so being the new guy and learning all the machinations of government, it has been frustrating. But there's reasons those rules are there, and I'm learning that, and I'm learning to appreciate them, and I'm not going to be critical of them. They catch me off guard. I tend to want to just talk and let's just go, and that's the businessman side of me. Let's just get stuff done. But again, I got to just appreciate the rules are there for a reason, whether I get them or not. So,
Do you think there's been anything you've done that is in violation of city charter or city ordinances?
here's the way I'm putting it: is I know that I have done nothing wrong. I may have done something incorrectly, and I know that's a fine line, but I think there's procedural issues, and there's criminal issues, and there's wanton conflict of interest, disregard for rules, and I'll guarantee you none of that occurred. But as I've said to people over and over, I think by the time some of these complaints came up about the certain meetings that we're talking about, that may have been my third executive session. I'm new to it, and that's not a great excuse, but you learn as you go. And I lost where I'm going.
So, Mr. Mayor, let me ask you here, do you believe, knowing what you know now, and at the point this investigation has come, that you might have violated any criminal laws?
No, not even close. I'll guarantee that nothing remotely like that. But procedurally, well, I step in it all the time at council, and I ask questions that kind of bug some people sometimes. It's like, I don't know. You've got to answer my questions. I don't know what I'm doing here. Help me out. And so I'm more than willing to say there may be procedural issues, but I'll guarantee you there was no criminal wrongdoing. There was no, and I'm not commenting on anything other than just the questions people have been asking is, there's been no financial gain, there's been no manipulation of anything or anybody for my gain. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Okay. Sure.
Well, Mr. Mayor, as we go through this, I mean, certainly the situation would take its toll on anyone as far as in the position of where you're at. And how are you doing? How's Don Williams doing? I'm
great. I really am. This is, I've shared with people my faith, as a Christian. I can have a couple responses to bad situations. The first is just the abject panic and not knowing what's going on. That's just the human side. But then when I regroup and focus on what's important in life, and the two responses I can have to any situation is God tempers us to make us stronger, or He chastens us to make us repent. And so the rest is just stuff. This is just distractions, and what concerns me is I just want to make sure that I come out of this, the people recognize that there was integrity involved, that I didn't betray their trusts. That would kill me. Yeah. So how am I doing? I'm fine. I have good days, bad days, but I'm surrounded by some really great people who just are encouraging me constantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And back up a little bit on the insurance. So you've contacted a council?
CIS, and okay. I wish I could tell you that it's county, city insurance.
That's the city's insurance company.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And the city insurance, from my understanding, will, at least in the city charter or bylaws, is a stipend or a fee of up to $2,500 of support. Right. Would that be something that you would take, or is that something that you...
Well, here's where I'm at with that. I approached our attorney, Richard Apicello, immediately after the session, saying, okay, help me out here. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I supposed to do? And he said, well, you'll probably want to contact CIS.
I see.
And so I've contacted them, and I just heard from them yesterday and got the lowdown on the expenses. What was really interesting, and I've shared this with some people, is the city only has a $5,000 limit. So there's already 3 ethic ethics complaints filed, which is important. And I want to make sure that, anyone who thinks, oh, I'm just going to sue these guys, or I'm going to get, well, the problem is now, after this point, and everyone's free to do it. I'm not saying don't do something because of this, but that money's run out. And now anyone who is charged with this is going to have to pony up on their own. So all I would say is, if you really feel there's an egregious error on the city officials' part, obviously go forward. But if you're just kind of mad at somebody, remember, this is going to have to come out of their pocket.
And so you're at the point right now to where you would pony up, as you say?
I don't know yet. Again, I just have had preliminary talks with them. It's got to be a matter of, I've paid for pretty much everything since I've been mayor. The city has paid for the conferences, but I've paid for my own mileage. I've paid for my own fuel, that's mileage,
And the
food.
And the positions, like city council positions, it's an unpaid position.
Right. But this has got to see how far this goes. So I can't answer that right this second. My initial indication is that we will be paying for things on our own, just because I didn't sign up to be a burden to the city.
Let's move forward, and let me ask you, Mr. Mayor, if I may, what do you feel right now then should be the top priorities of the city as we move forward?
Well, as we outlined in our evaluation to Ron Chandler, City Manager Ron Chandler, was on the public works side was roads. We got to focus on that, and then we talked about I can't even remember the topics now, but I do remember roads was number one. For me personally, we have an unemployment number that's unacceptable. We have a homeless number that's unacceptable beyond belief. And drug and alcohol problems. It's just unacceptable that we cannot start tackling some of these issues. And I'm just so, I hope we can get past this. And VRDs and things that's just taking too much time. One thing that I approached every person who would talk to me when I was at the Coastal Caucus Conference, what was it called? Was I want to see some work done on the bay. I want the bay developed. I want to see it dredged. This used to be a viable port. It used to be a viable shipping dock. It's nothing now. It's a wading pool with a stream, and it's terrible. It could be such a great draw for tourism and for locals to benefit. We've talked years ago, I guess, about a boardwalk around it. My wife and I submitted years ago a plan for a pier with businesses on it.
Mr. Mayor, do you believe this question of, and the probe into your ethical integrity, is a hindrance on your ability to serve in the position as mayor?
No. Allegations are easy. The only problem is it takes time. It just takes time on council. It takes money from the city to go after these things, and they're just distractions. I'm trying not to let it bother me too much. I'm not trying to let it occupy my mind. But unfortunately, every single person I see wants to talk about it, and that's okay too. That is totally okay, and they should be talking to me about it. They're concerned. But wow. Did I answer that? I'm wandering.
I think you did very
I'm
well.
sorry.
We appreciate it. I think Frank had one more question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, I do. And our final question today, and some follow-up, is this with the council voting the other night as far as 5-0 to file the ethics complaint.
The second one.
Or
no, this is an investigation. The second one's for an investigation.
The
Correction,
ethics
yeah.
complaint was filed August 10th.
Okay.
Voted to be filed.
Right.
And the second one was this past Monday, was it?
Right.
To hire.
An outside investigator, something or other.
So going forward with that, since they voted resoundingly, 5-0, how's your ability? How do you feel as far as ability to lead the council in the city? Do you feel the respect of your fellow council members?
I can't answer that. I hope that there will be respect for the integrity that I'm showing, that I'm not trying to hinder or when it came time to recuse myself, there was no argument, there was no hysterics. It was just, hey, okay, if this is what the council wants and what is best for the city, then I'll do it. I'm totally okay with that. Beyond that, we do have some relationship repair to do, and I've talked to City Manager Chandler about that, and I've actually contacted the League of Oregon Cities about that, and I did propose that at a council meeting, that we maybe you ought to bring in a third party to talk. We haven't gone anywhere with it. I don't think it was dismissed, but again, we're just distracted by so many other things right now. I respect how hard this was for them to do. And that I appreciate that this is a volunteer job and they've had to make a tough decision. I don't agree with it, but I'm not supposed to agree with everything, and we're not supposed to all agree. But I appreciate that they've done what they've done, and we'll just see how it plays out.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so very much for taking time to be with us. I
Pleasure,
appreciate it.
pleasure. Great